So, last issue, Uber and Tesla, and even to a certain extent, beer. All these old, heavily regulated distribution networks that are coming under attack by these new innovations. Are we getting ready to see a whole era, not just in Georgia, across the country, of creative destruction?
Well, we're already seeing it in the case of Uber. And if you don't know what Uber is, let me explain it to you this way. I'm 35 years old, and no one I know my age ever gets in a taxi cab. They get on their phone and get the app, and they get a car from Uber. And it's changed the way that people plan their activities, get around. It is a public safety benefit on the whole, I think, because it's keeping people off the roads when maybe they shouldn't be driving. There are some concerns with the public safety because it's not submitted to all the same regulatory requirements that the taxi cabs are. They conduct their own background check, not the kind of background check that the law requires for taxi cabs. They set their own insurance standards, not the ones that are required by the state or municipalities for taxi cabs. And so what we're seeing is, in any good bout of creative destruction, we're seeing the entrenched incumbents fight back. And they were pushing a bill this year that really, and this was disputed, I don't know how it was disputed, this bill would have put Uber out of business in Georgia. It would have made the app illegal. I don't know how you can say it wouldn't have killed their business model when you would have killed the app itself, in addition to all the other things. I think there's probably some space for some compromise on the background checks and insurance. And frankly, the way that the legislature ought to be going, and I think it was the conversation was headed in this direction by the end, is study, can we deregulate the taxi industry and create the level playing field that way to the benefit of consumers, not to the detriment of consumers. And I think that's what free market people ought to be advocating. Tesla, and I'm going to insert a caveat here I should have inserted at the very beginning. This is, what I'm about to say is as far as I can tell. And as we all know, bills get appended to other bills in the last hours and days of the legislature. And I want to make a brief plug for an idea that Senator Josh McCoon has, which is for a 24-hour waiting period for bill language before it can be passed. I know my colleagues in the media and I are not the only ones who would appreciate that. I think it would be a good step for public policy making in the state. But as far as I can tell, the increase in sales allowed for Tesla did pass. Someone in the General Assembly, correct me if I'm wrong, did not pass, and the tax credit, I was looking this up and I should have written it down. There was a move. Let me tell you what they were trying to do, and then we'll sort out what actually happened. Right now, I think there's a cap of 100 Tesla electric cars that can be sold in the state, and there was a move to increase that to 1,500, and that was working its way through the legislature. I'm getting a lot of no head shakes here, so that did not pass. There's also an attempt to change the tax credit for zero emission cars. Do we think that passed? This is why we could use the longer waiting period for these bills, I think. But the bottom line is, this is the reason that the cap on sales exists is because they're not sold through the franchise model that has existed in Georgia for most automakers. They're sold as an exception to that. And here again, we're talking about the way that we've always done things versus the kind of creative destruction, new way of maybe doing that. And I don't have time for beer, and it's only 9:15 in the morning anyway.